How would you place the U.S.-Russia relationship in that context of countries, looking to play a certain advantage, but also the entire sort of Trump administration approach, stated approach at trying to find leverage points in these bilateral relationships?
Well, I think to Russia, Russia actually is not a fundamentally important country for the United States or increasingly any other country in terms of economics. It's degenerated into primarily a natural resource exporter, and now that we have a very low-cost energy in America and the opportunity to grow our energy supply, I think Russia has diminished as an economic issue for the United States. That said, they're a very important disruptive, destabilizing factor in the global community, and therefore I think some better way of interacting with Russia is important. But more generally, I think what's going on right now is this very, very unstable and unsettling debate we're having on trade. The administration has sort of portraying other countries as taking advantage of the United States, as sort of distorting trade, and we've been very, very aggressive about talking about opening up the trading system, removing the distortions, and obviously Mexico has been a major brunt of this. China has been a major brunt of this. But I think it's high time that America started to rebalance some of the trade relationships that we've had around the world, because we were the generous guy. We were the guy that was more generous in order to get these deals done. We opened up the world trading system primarily in America. But to do that, we had to be generous. And we were in a great position to be generous because we had a tremendous competitive advantage, and we could afford to kind of allow some countries to kind of take advantage of us in some respects. Now I think our economy is frankly very weak. Our recovery is very fitful. Our competitiveness has eroded over the last 10 or 15 years, and so I do believe it's an important moment for the U.S. to have a much more assertive international trading relationship. But that doesn't mean, starting a trade war. That doesn't mean going back to protectionism. So I think we're in a very dangerous discussion right now in terms of the international economy.
Yeah, which brings us back, and we'll end where we began. Ambassador McFaul, with Russia, I know you're watching the politics of all of this, but we're trying to figure out what it means for the U.S. and Russian economy. There's a big trading relationship there. The fact that the reset hasn't happened exactly as President Trump anticipated. What does it mean for the Russian economy? What does it mean for the U.S. economy and for the global economy?
Well,
I think the Russian economy is in trouble.
Oh, go ahead. That was to Ambassador McFaul, and then we'd love to hear from you, Mr. Porter.
Okay, thank you. Well, without question, on Election Day in Moscow, they were elated that President-elect Trump, that Donald Trump won the election. There were celebrations. They anticipated that he was going to be the guy that would lift sanctions. Because after all, he hinted at that as a candidate. And to remind everyone, the other candidate said exactly the opposite, right? So they thought that there was going to be this breakthrough. Then the announcement of Secretary Tillerson as Secretary of State, he negotiated the biggest joint venture in the history of U.S.-Russian relations, right, between Rosneft and ExxonMobil. So there was a great anticipation that there would be this breakthrough. And now, right now, it feels in Moscow that it's stalled, and there's beginning to be doubt whether Donald Trump will have the political will and power to move this forward.
Professor Porter, your thoughts on the economic implications of all of this?
Well, again, I think the economic implications right now are mostly just destabilizing and making people nervous about what is going to happen with this relationship to Russia. Again, as I said earlier, Russia is not critical to the U.S. economy. That we don't have a real stake in Russia. So that China's much more important, Japan's much more important, Latin America's much more important. Given the way Russia has evolved into just a pure resource-based economy, not an economy with a broader impact in trade. So I think, frankly, what's going on right now is we had a lot of optimism around the election of Donald Trump. Donald Trump was talking about doing some things that made a lot of sense bringing down corporate tax rates, dealing with infrastructure, removing regulation, being a little more assertive in the international trading system so that we could, have a fair trading relationship for the United States. But I think what's dawning on a lot of people is, where's the beef? This isn't happening. Nothing's moving. The political system, we're fighting against each other. We're not, Americans are fighting against Americans, and we're not making progress. And this Russia breakdown is just another example of something that was supposed to be a problem solved. But now nothing much is happening. And that's partly a function of the way in which the president is running the country right now, but it also has to do with our political gridlock, the inability of the two sides in America to actually work together to do anything, frankly. And this has been the pattern in America for the last 10 or 15 years.
It's less than 100 days in. We'll continue to check in with you. For now, we have to leave the conversation there. Gentlemen, thank you.